Today, the keen focus is on the soul. A beautiful, beautiful woman called Dorcas wants to share her gorgeous story, and it should really lift you up. Dorcas, it's our pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting us to your beautiful home. Okay, tell us your story from the very beginning.
I grew up in a family of 4 girls. My dad used to work in Kirinyaga Road. He used to sell spare parts there. And we were a happy family. We lived in Bahati in a single-roomed house. But all in all, we were a happy family. Mom used to work as subordinate staff with the city council. Yeah, and it was fun. It was fun growing up until around when I was in class 8, when I was about 14 years, because I mean, that is the very first time my dad became sick. So he became sick, and we had these trips to and from the hospital. Apparently, they said he had TB. He had to be an anti-TB treatment, 60 injections, and he would go in for a jab every day. Weekends, we would take him, and within some time, he looked like he was getting better. But of course, his health was going down. You could see his color has changed and all. And in 1996, after his health being up and down from better to worse, at times I remember at one time he even developed a limp because part of his leg is like paralyzed, and he developed a limp from nowhere. And in 1996, one night he becomes very sick. This is after he had gone to hospital, and then they had discharged him. So he's discharged when he's worse. So he comes back. By the time they're bringing him in a mattress. So he's like really sick, yeah. And that night, I remember that he got convulsions, and mom started screaming. We wake up, we start running. We only had one neighbor who had a car. We start running. We go to the neighbors. Dad is not feeling well, so we take him because he had been discharged from the main hospital from Kenyatta. So we have to take him to. That time, my mom decides we take him to a nursing home. So he goes to a nursing home where he is like for a week. And that is where he dies. Yeah, that is in 1996. I was in Form 3 and 16, 17 years then. So Dad dies, life takes a nosedive, it becomes totally different. Remember, I'm in Form 3, my immediate sister is in Form 1, the other one is in class 8. So it was like really difficult for mom. With the following year, I'm in Form 4, Liz is in Form 2, and Sonny is in Form 1. It really was hard on my mom. I clear Form 4 by the grace of God. And my sisters also, it really becomes tough on my mom, just trying to pay school fees and bringing food to the table. Yeah, so in 2001, this is just after my sisters have cleared Form 4. Okay, maybe before that, I would say that immediately after I clear school, my mom confides in me. And my mom tells me, you know what, Waithera, your dad died of HIV. And I also need to go for the test. And I tell her, you won't go alone, I'll take you. So I take her I have just cleared Form 4. I take her to the test. That time you didn't get, we are talking about 97, 98. You didn't get the tests immediately. So I take her for the test. We're told to come like 3 days after. And she goes alone. I think she felt it would be too much on me. She goes alone. She comes back late at night. She's looking all her gut. She had gone for the results and it was positive. She was also positive. So in 2001, in between before 2001, I would see her get sick. And I remember even this time when she gets sick, I would tell her, Mom, you pull out of this because I've seen you sicker than this. But this time, because all she wanted was at least to see both my sisters, Liz and Sonny, finish Form 4. As in, I think that at that time, like, she was like, I've done it. And she would tell me, Anne is our younger sister. She would tell me, Anne will not be a burden. When you, the 3 of you, will be able to take care of Anne. So she gets sick in 2001, and within a week, she dies.
Very hard for you, of course, losing both parents. How did you and your siblings deal with becoming orphans?
So the dealing part, I think we just had to pick ourselves up. We become orphans. I was 21, my immediate sister was 20, and the other one was 19. And then we had our last born sister was 13 years. So we have to deal. And this time, when mom was sick, I did not go to uni. I had performed well in school, but I thought instead of stressing mom, I'd rather start doing odd jobs. And I started selling fruits. I would go to Marikiti, get fruits, and I would make fruit salad, and I would supply in town. So at least this time I'm trying to bring income in the house. So I continued doing that, and I thank God, because the following year, the three of us are married. I think we're just like trying to get away from this world of being orphans and all. So my immediate sisters and I, we all married. So I remain with our last born sister. Remember, she's 13. She's going to Form 1. Yeah, so I basically raise my youngest sister. And in 20, I get married to this guy. He was my friend, my confidant. I loved him. He was Alex Thuo. I loved him, and it was a good marriage, I would say. Yes, we had ups and downs, like any normal couple, but it was okay. In 2002, God blesses me with, the same year I get married, in November, God blesses us with our first son. In 2004, we get our second son. Marriage continues and all. This time I'm with my younger sister and, of course, my two sons, and we continue. And in 2012, my husband was taking me for a work-related trip. This time, of course, I've left. I've already gotten employed in several odd jobs, others. I'm a bright girl, as I said. I'm blowing my trumpet.
It's good. Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so this time I've gotten a job, and I've gotten a job as an administrator. And my husband was taking me for a work-related trip, and we were going to Loitoktok. And when we were going, we involved in a grisly road accident. And when we were involved in the accident, I'm actually thought to be the worst hit. Yeah. Because I didn't regain conscious, I don't know, up until, it was at around 10 a.m. And when I woke up, I remember, the last thing I remember people screaming. Yeah. And after people screamed, I woke up to find myself in a hospital. It's already getting late. And I didn't even know exactly what had happened. So I was being explained to, you were in an accident and all. This time my husband has a fractured left foot. Mm-hmm. It had 3 fractures, but at least he was talking and all. And me, they said I had a broken rib. It was all painful and all. Yeah, so I'm on medication. My husband is on medication. But again, now we are in Loitoktok. We were in a hospital in Birikani. It was called Birikani Hospital. So we are to be brought back to Nairobi because my husband needs plates put on him, and he needs surgery, and they need to put plates because because of the fractures. So the following day, my colleagues come for us, and they bring us to Nairobi. He goes in for surgery. They do plates on him, and all seems to be going well, because within no time we are discharged from hospital. Okay. And we come back. Like 2.5 weeks after coming from hospital, when he's just finished taking the painkillers, he gets this throbbing headache. Mm-hmm. I remember it was on a Friday. Yeah. We did not sleep that night. The headache was severe. I slept the whole night. I was just pouring fridge cold water on him, mm-hmm. on his head. So I call his orthopedic in the morning, and I tell him. So he tells me, because of the shake-up of the accident, he tells me, yeah, it was maybe bound to happen. So he prescribes a different painkiller. I go for it. But by around 1 o'clock, this headache is not going away. I call the orthopedic again. I said, this headache is not going away. He said, no, now check into a hospital. So we check into hospital. When we go, they say that we need to do a CT scan. So he goes in and they do a CT scan. And when they do it, it comes out to say that he has hemorrhage, meaning that he has a ruptured vein and blood is oozing from the rupture. It had gone unnoticed. Blood is oozing from the ruptured vein, and they say that he has what they call subdural hematoma. Yeah, that means that he had a clot in between his skull and his brain, and it was exerting pressure on his brain. So that's why he was getting these severe headaches. So they say that at the rate at which these headaches are coming, normally they say if they were small, they can do steroids. But now they say at the rate at which these headaches are coming, they have to do a surgery. He has to be done for a head surgery. An emergency surgery. An emergency surgery. Yeah. Yeah. So this is a Saturday. Yeah, and he's booked for surgery on Sunday. So the doctor says I'll come in, and the neuro comes in and says I'll do the surgery on him on Sunday. So on Sunday morning, I go to the hospital. He was booked at around 10 a.m. is when he was supposed to be going for to the theater. I go to hospital at around 8. And he was talking, we are okay, and we're talking. By that time, I don't know is what people call intuition or something, because it's something that now I think about, he tells me, because he holds my hands and tells me that the pain I felt when they did for me the surgery on the leg, I'm not going to make it through the head surgery. Me, I'm thinking he's joking, and I'm telling him, nah, you stop with your bad jokes. Yes, he tells me that. I tell him, stop with your bad jokes and all. And I step out to get him something. He needed something. And on coming back, I tried calling him, he's not responding. So of course I rush to the nurse's desk, and I'm like, I'm calling him, he's not responding. They rush in, and within no time, it's frantic, oxygen mask and everything, and they wheel him into theater. Luckily this time, the neuro had already come, and he was scrubbing now to take him for surgery. And he goes in. It was a surgery that lasted between 3 and 4 hours. It was a pensive 3-4 hours. It was just praying and trusting God that all will be well. And after the surgery was over, the doctor comes out to tell us that fortunately, they were able to remove the clots. But unfortunately, his brain has reacted by swelling because of the pressure that the clots had put on the brain. So when they removed, his brain reacted by swelling. But he tells us it's nothing they've never seen. So he says that what they're going to do, he's going into ICU now. And they're going to sedate him for 72 hours. And as they'll keep taking him for scans, and as the swelling goes down, they will bring down the sedation. So he goes into ICU. This is now on Sunday, he goes into ICU, and on Monday, they take him for an scan. When they take him for a scan again, we come in to tell us again, his brain shifted. But they still tell us it is something that, it's not something they've never seen. So they tell us now we are going to add on the sedation. But I remember him telling him the bad thing would be if it surges backwards. Right. So on Tuesday morning, I receive a phone call at about 6 a.m. in the morning, and my sister, yes, I'm home. Okay, yeah, I'm with my sisters. I was with Sonny and her husband Edwin, and my sister Anne. We were home. They had slept with me in the house. So I received, actually that time I'm in the bathroom. So it's my sisters who received the phone. And when they received the phone, I was in the bathroom. I was just getting ready to go to hospital. When they received the phone call, I come out and I asked them, I had my phone ringing, who was calling? They tried to tell me nobody was calling. But I looked at their eyes, I could see they were crying. I asked her, no, you tell me who had called and what is it? So they say it's the hospital that called and they need you to get to hospital. So I call back. When I call back, they tell me that the situation has changed. You just come to hospital. Of course, we hurriedly get to the hospital. On getting to the hospital, when we were there, they're trying to explain to us. They're telling us we took him for scan in the morning, and unfortunately, his brain has surged backwards. And when they were just trying to explain, the neuro comes in. The neuro had not come because it's early in the morning, and we are sent outside. And of course, I think they're giving the briefing of what had happened.
Is he there? Can you see your husband?
I'm seeing him. I'm seeing him. I'm even seeing the machines. At that time, I remember I'm seeing the machine. I couldn't even remember what straight means and what zigzag means. You know, at that time, you're in this state that I couldn't even remember. I knew there's something about the ICU machine with straight lines and zigzag. This time, the lines are straight. But I couldn't even fathom what it means. So we get out. But they had told us they had resuscitated him twice. From 3 a.m. they had resuscitated him twice. So he doesn't take long. He comes out and he tells us, sorry, we lost the battle.
Dorcas, what would you say was going on in your life for all these tragedies to happen one after another, and how did you handle it?
At that moment, I don't think I've ever had, I didn't have that time that I'm thinking, what is it that is going on in my life?
You're just breathing.
I'm breathing, yeah. And I had a reason to thank God. Remember, I was in this accident. I would have died also. Yeah. My children would have been left orphaned. So at least I have a reason to thank God. I am just seeing the gravity of the situation, if a death was going to come out of here. And remember, initially they thought I was the worst hit because I'm the one who was unconscious. So at this time, I think I'm just telling God, thank you for sparing me.
All right, everybody, we take a quick break. We come back with Dorcas's story. If you think it's done, no, it is not. She has more to tell us. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
My mother is my role model.
Dorcas is my eldest sister. She's the firstborn in our family. We are 4 girls.
When I was looking for a place to stay and put my head in, she accepted me in as a son.
I asked my mom if she's gonna die.
She's a living testimony.
Welcome back, everybody. That young, handsome man that you've just seen there is Dorcas's son, who says that his mom is his hero. You are his role model.
Very, very, very proud. Actually, if I can go a little bit, how that came about, he's a 14-year-old, he's in Form 1. And when he said, the very first time he said that, I had gotten he had downloaded some music on my phone. And it was, I don't know if I should be saying it was some, I think Justin Bieber, Wiz Khalifa. And I was like, what is this kid listening to? So I call him and I'm mad. I'm like, what is this you're listening to? So I time I'm thinking, are these the role models that my son is following? So I asked him, who's your role model? And what he answered me, Kobi, made me shed tears. He told me, you, mom. I'm like, okay. I toned down, said, I'm like, why? I said, because of your faith. Because you always say things will happen and they happen. And I'm like, okay, don't make me be in competition with Wiz Khalifa and Justin Bieber.
Of course. Yeah. But that's a moment that I'm sure you'll remember for the rest of your life.
Yes. It was very touching. It was touching.
Sorry to take you back, Dorcas, but I think it's important that those who are watching really get to hear about you really coming full circle. You have been orphaned at a young age. Then you're a widow. How do you even begin to pick up the pieces of your life and forge forward?
Okay, let me tell you something very interesting happens. God has humor. Because what happens is that we bury, my husband dies on 20th November. We bury him on 27th November. And on 7th December, my boss is involved in an accident. When my boss is involved, it was an attack actually. When he is involved in that attack, do you know, I forget I was mourning. I became proactive because now I wake up, it's going to hospital every day, going to work, doing my work plus his work, rushing to the hospital. By the time I'm coming home, I am like very tired. The following morning, it's waking up, going to hospital, going to the office, lunch, rushing to the hospital. By the time I'm coming back, and by the time he was being flown out of the country, it was like 3 months after. I was like, oh God, I was widowed. Yeah, so I thank God, because that's why I'm saying God has humor, because the being proactive like really helped me.
And suspended reality
for a moment. And yeah, I went through this phase that I'm alone. So by the time even I'm realizing I'm alone, I think I've gotten used to that bed, me being alone. I've started getting used to it. But I say with death, you never get used to it. You just learn to live with it. Right. So by this time, I've learned to live with it. So yeah, I just take it head on and decide that I will soldier on, and yeah.
So looking at everything that's happened to you, how do you start to go through your personal issues? How do you start to grapple with this now health diagnosis?
Okay, again now what happened is in 2014, from nowhere again, I lose my job. I lose my job, and this time I'm feeling, nah, this is now too much. I don't know what to do. And this time I even have an adopted son. I have a son that I picked from the street. I took him from church. He's a boy that loves God and all. He didn't have anywhere to go. And I think coming from the fact that I'm an orphan and a widow, I really felt his pain and I'm a mother of boys. So I feel, let me just stay with this boy. I also used to live with my grandmother. My grandmother was about 90 years old. This is the mom to my dad. So I lose my job and I have all these mouths to feed. So I'm like, God, as in this is just a little bit too much. But I just take it head on strong. I start just buying some cheap clothes and trying to sell just to feed my family. And then in 2015, I start bleeding. At first, I'm thinking it's hormonal imbalance. I'm just thinking I self-medicate myself. I self-treat myself. And then at some point, someone tells me, maybe you should go in for cervical cancer screening. I go in for cervical cancer screening and I'm told I'm okay. And then my stomach this time has started bulging. It had started bulging. I actually at some point looked like I was pregnant.
Yeah.
Yes. And I started feeling it, and I would feel, no, this stomach is not, it's like something is inside. So I decided, let me go back to hospital. I go back to hospital and share my concern. I say, me, when I feel my stomach, I'm feeling like I feel something. I go through tests. The doctor also confirms they can feel like, when you felt it, you could feel something hard inside. There was misdiagnosis at first. I'm sent for higher resolution scanning, for ultrasounds. I'm sent for CA125 test. I didn't even know what that time CA125 meant. I'm sent for tests, and all. Finally the results come in, and I have ovarian cancer.
Looking at, of course, the diagnosis, and now you have to go through all of these health tests and everything. At what stage did they find the cancer?
With ovarian cancer, they don't do biopsy, because you see it's inside the ovary. Yeah. So they cannot be able to pull anything out of it. So you have to go through surgery. When you're in surgery, there's a process they call frozen section. When you're still open, they will take the tumor, take it for testing. They will stage it then. So they tell me they can't, so at that time they can't be able to tell you anything.
Dorcas, looking at everything, what is going through your mind? What is going through your soul?
I was broken. Yeah. I was broken. I was broken as in, I remember immediately I was told, I went to the bathroom and I was crying. And when I was looking at myself at the mirror, I would say the inner self or God spoke to me, the inner spirit spoke to me, because I was looking at myself. And I remember something asking me, would you rather it had been your son? I'm like, no. Would you rather it would have been your sister? No. Your friend? No. Even your enemy? No. And then I get out of there and say, God, if you've seen, I'm the one who's still going to handle. Because at this time, I'm speaking to myself in Kikuyu, and I'm asking myself, modomoe, you know, meaning one person. Yeah. All this, one person is going through all this. So, yeah, I again take it headstrong. I'm told this time by them, when I'm being told alone. So this time I'm being told, gather your family so that we can be able to explain to them what is happening. So I call my sisters, they explain to what is happening. At time my sisters come. We had lost a friend earlier in the year to cancer. So when my sisters come, of course they're scared and all, and my sisters tell me, no, we'll go to India. I'm like, we don't have money. But thank God we call on friends and family. And within 10 days, I bless God, because I was diagnosed on 3rd of November. By 14th of November, I was in India. Yes, I had gotten a hospital and all, and people had come. Two fundraisers had been done. And I think people were feeling for me, knowing where I've come from, and also really people came out, and I bless God for them. And so I was in India. The test starts all over again. And I'm booked for surgery. And I'm done for the surgery on 26th November 2015. It was a long surgery. It was about a 9-hour surgery. Yeah, frozen section and all. And it's, I think I bleed a lot, because it throws me into ICU again. Yeah, I have 5 pints maximum blood transfusion. And when I wake up, from the ICU. I remember even they told me the incision would be big, because the incision runs all the way from my umbilicus, way up from my umbilicus to down. They told me it will be a long incision. They actually tell me we have to do like 2 anesthesia. We have to do general and epidural, because you're going to need epidural after the surgery. Yeah, so it wasn't easy. It was like really painful, really painful.
So Dorcas, you have a unique story about the month of November and different things that have happened to you in this month. Tell us about that.
So I give birth to my son, my firstborn son, on 6th November 2002. My secondborn son, 23rd November 2004. My husband dies on 20th November 2012. I'm diagnosed with cancer on 3rd November 2015. So at this time, maybe let me finish so I can tell you the connection with November.
Yes, ma'am.
2015 is when I'm diagnosed with with ovarian cancer. 2016 September, I'm a bit jittery. And I'm saying November is around the corner. I'm telling God, I'm just believing you for this to be a different November. I don't know. I don't know what will happen, but I'm just telling God, as in, let it be a different November. I keep saying that the devil throws a first one on me. September, my neighbor's house catches fire. When it does, my house catches fire. And it is totally burnt down, everything.
This house that we're in?
Yes. It is totally burned down. The only thing that remains, this is the later after the fire engines have come and all, and people are just trying, it was at night, it was around 8 p.m. People are trying to scavenge to see what has been left.
What do you mean? So the house next door burns down and you guys are sitting here?
Actually, that is exactly what happened. Okay. When we were seated, there's the smell of the smoke. And I remember asking my girl and asking her, is something burning? She tells me, no, I don't have anything lit up. So she tells us, I think it's the next door neighbor, maybe they're lighting a charcoal jiko or something. So we continue sitting down. My nephew, this time my last born sister has a son, so I stay also with my nephew. So my nephew is the one who actually peeps, and he calls me mom. So he comes back and tells me, mom, kuna chomeka. So on peeping, I realized, yeah, it's true. There was fire coming from their house. So we get out screaming. So we are screaming for people to come and put off the fire from the neighbor's house. Yeah. So people start coming out. So on trying to get back to our house, we're actually now coming back to our house to get water. My ceiling was plastic, like cyber. When we were there, the ceiling caves in on us.
So your house is ablaze.
It's ablaze. So it's going out and it's ablaze. And now this time, of course, the lights, there's a short and it's dark and we have to come out. And we had to look on outside as everything comes down.
Your entire life went up in flames?
Yes, it went up.
Everything?
Everything. I remember even at that time, the first thing that came to my mind was that my medication, I'm still on medication up to today because of infectious agents. So my medication was in the house. My son was sitting for his class 8. So his revision material is either in the house and all. And we can do nothing. We have to sit back and watch the house. It comes down. As it all comes down.
In your video, you tell an interesting story of the only 3 things.
The only 3 things that remain are 3 Bibles. And I keep telling, and at that moment, maybe before I go to the Bible, at that moment, when the house is burning, I remember my sons were crying, and I was feeling I need to console them. And I called them and asked them, why are you crying? And they're like, our house is burning. And that time, God is helping me because I told them that we've lost things we can't buy with money. Whatever is burning is things that we can go and we can get them from the shops. So I tell them, be encouraged. None of us was inside the house. None of us is hurt. We are still okay. And at that time, I keep saying that God spoke to me because as I was looking on, the verse that was coming to my mind was Ecclesiastes 1:2. All is vanity, vanity of vanities. That is what was coming to my mind. And then God spoke, and God spoke in a loud voice. Because after that, 3 Bibles, not 1, not 2, but 3 Bibles. One was where the TV cabinet was. The TV cabinet had fallen. It had burned on top, so the Bible was below. The other one was in my son's school bag. So where the books were, the books had gotten burned. Somehow the fire didn't get to the Bible. The other one was in my bedroom. The clothes had burnt down. They had like melted and all. There was a Bible in between that was not burned. So 3 Bibles come out of the house. So I keep saying God spoke, and God spoke in a loud voice that heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall remain. So I take in headstrong. But this time I remember I was thinking to myself and I was saying, I don't think I even want. Remember, I'm jobless. Yes. So even by the time I'm telling my sons that we can buy, I don't have a dime to myself. I don't have a dime to my name. So I'm telling God, I don't know. I at this time I'm feeling I do not even feel like I want to call on anyone to come and like fundraise for me. I mean, people have come in for me so many times. I knew a lot would be said. I knew people would say I'm jinx or something. So yeah, I'm saying that I don't want even people to come and changa for me or just I was just telling God, even if it means going to the next slum. I think that is where we are gonna go. And that night I went to my sister's house, and as I was sleeping, God spoke to me. God speaks, by the way.
Yes, He does.
God speaks to God spoke to me, and God spoke to me in a song. and it's a Kikuyu song. I had only heard of it. I had only heard of the chorus. But when I'm sleeping, this is the song that keeps running in my mind. And it says, I'll just translate it in English. It says that I'm going to struggle with these people. I will close my ears until I touch the hem of your garment. And I wake up and I tell my sister, God spoke to me. And God tells me that I just need to close my ears. I just need to struggle through with these people until I touch the helmet of God. So the following day, my sisters and I, we all go onto Facebook, post the pictures of the fire and post everything and write everything. And guys, we are like, oh, sorry. And let me tell you, God commissioned angels. 70% of the people who came through for me when my house burned down are strangers, are people I don't know. People came through for me. I got furniture. I got money to rebuild the house. I live in a city council house. Yeah. So we treat them like they're ours, because if you wait for the city council to come, and it will take forever for them to come and...
But your house is beautiful.
Yeah.
You restored this
yes.
Wow.
To come and do it for you. And again, I knew I would not be able to afford another house elsewhere since I'm not working. So I think the best thing would be just to rebuild it. So yeah, people come through for me, and I bless God, because at that time I remember I had promised my son we can get even better things than we do. And as the money is coming in, I'm telling God, you know what, I'm getting whatever is coming in, I'm getting something better than we had. Yes. Yeah, whatever is coming in, I'm getting something. And I thank God, because God restores that. And again, it's in November is when we are able to. Yeah, one of my prayer was like, God, I want us to go back to the house before my son sits for his KCP. I didn't want him, because at that time my neighbor had helped us. He's a brother-in-law. He's a brother to my sister's husband. Had helped us with they had moved with his family in one room. Yeah, their house is 2-bedroomed, and they had given us one room. So we were already squeezed inside there, and I was feeling it's not very conducive for my son. We are already, I don't know, more than 6 people in that room. I was feeling that God just helped my son to sit for his exams from our house, and I bless God, because he did exactly that. My son was able to sit for his exams from our house.
This happened this last November.
I'm talking about 6-7 months ago.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
wow,
yes,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Dorcas has more to tell us. We take a very quick break. We'll be right back. This is a story of hope. If you are watching, if you are going through your own personal tragedy, or if you know someone that is, please tell them to tune in right now. We'll be right back after this commercial break, where this story of hope has a very beautiful ending. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody, to Better Living. This edition is a soul edition. We are speaking to Dorcas, who has been sharing with us her story. As you know, we are focusing on mind, body, and soul throughout this season. All you have to do is log on to our social media platforms. Better Living KE is where you can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and Snapchat. We'd like to hear your own story. And if you can come in and partner with Dorcas, we'd also like to hear from you. Dorcas, thank you for sharing this story with us. It's not an easy one. When you sit in this house, this beautiful house, what goes through your mind?
I just see God. As in, God is glorified in this house. And as I said before, when the house burned, I was not working. I did not, like the thoughts God has for us. The Bible says no one has even, we cannot think, we cannot even imagine what He has in store for us, because I never saw this house to this bit as much as I had faith in Him. So I see grace, I see God glorified in every bit of my life. Seeing my son in school also, because even that was one thing that like was really worrying me. I didn't know how my son was going to Form 1. I didn't know. And God just used someone, and they came, they were not able to give during when the house burned down, and they tell me, you know what, I'll help you get your son into Form 1. So he helped me, and I believe even the rest of the years God will still come through as He has already done. So when I look at my life, when I look at this house, all I see God, and I just feel I want to glorify God. Yes. Yeah, you had asked me about November. Maybe now I could tell you what the revelation God is giving me is that I've been trying to talk to you and calling you into ministry, and that I have been coming in like in the name of November. And because you've only been seeing November, you've not only been seeing me. That's why everything happens to November up until when I'm diagnosed with cancer. And then the fire now again happens in September. So to me, November is when we restored. Yeah. So to me, God is telling me, November signifies it is me who wants you to go out and testify. And again, something else was coming to me, and God, it's like God was asking me, what is your name? My name is Dorcas. When I go back to the Bible, Dorcas had to die. And when she died, she was risen. There are no coincidences where God is concerned, Kobi. None. There are no coincidences. Dorcas died. I've been through near-death experiences. So when Dorcas died, do you know that is the time that the whole of Joppa got to hear of God? More people came to God. More people believed in God. That time when she was risen by Peter, the Bible says that the widows around, the community around came, but goes on and said, and the whole of Joppa heard of it, and people believed in God, and people trusted in God. And now I'm at that point, I'm feeling that Dorcas, the people around you, the people around Uhuru have heard what have happened to you. You now need to go out there and just tell people that God is God, that God restores, that when you trust on God, His grace is sufficient. Because even at now, you might ask me, you're still on drugs, and and like Paul, he still had the thorn in his flesh. But the grace of God was still sufficient. That's why I still smile. That's why I'll still say that God is God. Because His grace in my life is so sufficient. And I am feeling that is the calling that God has for me, to just go out there, minister to someone. Just tell someone whatever it is you're going on. Just take it just take it to God. Just believe in God. And that when you believe in God, when you faith and you trust is in God, His grace is sufficient. You will go through. I keep saying it is going through. You will go through. You can't go under it. You can't go above it. You can't go around it. You have to go through. When you go through it, on the other side, a better edition waits. An encourager, a person who will give hope, a person who will inspire, a person who will be able to sit like I'm seeing and tell people there is God. Because that is the ministry that God is calling me into. I have done a book, and the book is called In the Potter's Hands. Yes. It is not out because of financial constraints. Okay. It is not out, but I'm believing God that it's going to be out, just to be able to, it has more shelf life, of course. Yes. For someone to refer back to it on my story, for someone to be able to see that God's grace is sufficient, and someone's hope to be built, and someone to be encouraged. I'm also studying counseling and psychology, just by the grace of God.
Looking at, of course, this beautiful book, In the Potter's Hands, and looking at what you want to do in terms of ministry, what kind of help are you looking for?
For now, I'm stuck on the book. Yeah, because I have done the book, I have written, it is with the publisher, but I don't have finances to get the book out. So I'm just somehow believing God that it's gonna, this is ministry. Yeah, maybe if there's someone out there, I keep telling people, at least this time it's not me who is begging to be given something. You're partnering with God. If someone is out there and they feel that we want to partner with God into ministry so that we can reach, someone is out there discouraged, they've lost hope, and they need to read this book. They watch this show, yes, but they need something to be referring to. Yeah,
this is it.
Yeah,
this is it. Amazing. Yeah. Dorcas, there are people who are watching this show right now across this country. There are people who will watch this show online globally, who are going through their own personal tragedies, who don't see beyond that problem. What can you say to them?
Like I said again, I will repeat and say that when you go through it, a better your pain is your gain is in your pain. So there's nothing that happens to you that has no reason. So if you purpose to go through it, imagine, believe it or not, a better person is waiting for you on the other side. You just need, you're stronger than that. God cannot give you something you can't handle. If you've reached that point that God have seen that you're able to wear that helmet that only He knew, that garment only He knew would fit you. Come on. Do not let God down, and do not let yourself down. Wear it courageously, and on the other side, a better version is waiting. A better version is waiting, an encourager, as a person who people will look at and they'll be able to see God. So hold on, be tenacious, and wait on God. And if there's anything that I would want to cry on to people, is that if anything, my story, let it build your faith in God, because there is God, and He is a gracious daddy. Yes.
Amazing. Dorcas, we want to thank you so much today for sharing your story. It is a beautiful story. It is a story of hope. and I can't wait to see what you do. I can't wait to see where you go. You're gonna be bigger than than TD Jakes. Forget even about Joyce Meyer. You're gonna be huge, and we can't wait to see you ministering to so many people. A beautiful story there from ashes. She has completely picked up with the help of God, and she's now sharing her testimony. If you are watching, and if you can assist not just with publishing but also with ministry, if you know anybody who really needs to hear from Dorcas, please write to us. We'll be happy to connect you to her. All right, Better Living KE is how you can do that. You can inbox us as well, and we'd be really happy to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Remember this: God does not give you problems He thinks that you can't handle. Everything that you are going through, you will get through it. Don't give up hope, and give someone else hope as well, just as Dorcas has given us this morning.